Right, so Mr. Jones, how long has it taken us to sort this out? How long have you put me off? Weeks? Months?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're more difficult than Zal to pin down, I think you are.
Right, look at what I do.
I know, well look, this is something I've wanted to do with you for a while now, right? And I don't know if you remember, I spoke to you up the tip at the start of the lockdown. You were sat on the bench and I said, I've got a load of questions I want to ask you because it was around the time of the stand opening in the 60th anniversary.
Yeah.
And obviously we had COVID and lockdown, so we didn't get a chance to do it, did we? So what was that, 18 months later? Finally got you.
Better later than ever.
Exactly. But look, for me, there's a few reasons why I want to do this with you and other people. Is, as you probably know by now, I've got a big interest in the history of the Amman. A big part of that is thanks to you because of having the record books and stuff off for you. But when I go through those history things, obviously back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, there was no videos, no. Yes, it's lovely to have all the old photos, but I was thinking now that we've got a lot of people still around and characters in the club to try and preserve some of the history we've got now. So if anybody's interested, like I am in 20, 30 years time, then we've got people like yourself and Ken and everybody else with their views and being able to share the history of the club. So there's a few reasons why I want to do this. And who better to start with than you, Mr. Amman. Amman royalty. So just before, and I know we've given you a couple of questions to prepare, right? And I'll go through those with you in a minute.
Yeah.
But you can tell me now if I got these bits right or wrong. So according to my records then, you've been part of the Amman since 1956, when you were in your youth.
Played in the youth, yes.
So that's, what, 65 years?
Yeah.
And counting. You played 17 seasons of senior rugby for the Amman between 1960 and 77. You were secretary of the Quins for 12 years, from 1978, the year I was born.
I was secretary of the Quins, yes, I was.
To 1990. You were club sec from 1990 to when?
14 years, I think, I did the Amman. Sec of the club.
You've been a life member of the club, or made a life member of the club in 1990, and then a trustee in 1996.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's quite a record, isn't it, for the Amman?
Yeah, I suppose so.
It is, and that's why you're known as the legend of Amman United, Mr. Amman.
I didn't. The only reason I did it because I felt that when I played, somebody did it for me, and when I finished playing, I thought, yes, I took a year off. I said I'll take a year off, but after that, I was going to do what other people had done for me. I thought, do something for the Quins, do something for the club, so that the other players can benefit and have.
Yeah, and look, I think I've been part of the club most of my life, and that's because my father was playing when I was a kid, and I remember being down the park. I'd probably been, I was still living up here actually, so it would have been before 1986. So I would probably been about 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a game going on the pitch, which my father was probably playing in. I was down in the park, and do you remember that old witch's hat thing they had? They used to spin round.
No, I can't remember that.
Well, it was a lethal thing, right? Bloody death trap. But I remember falling off that and twisting my ankle, and it probably wasn't as bad.
Oh, the playground, you mean?
On the Amman, the park where the Amman is now.
Yeah, all right.
And because there was a game going on and I was a little bit upset and crying down at the park, somebody got the first aider from the pitch to come down, and I remember, I'll never forget, the magic sponge. It's the first time you heard the magic sponge.
Magic sponge, right.
And have a guess who that person was?
I don't know.
You.
Was it?
It was you.
I can't remember that.
So that's really my first memory of being on the Amman, was you sticking a magic sponge. And I remember you telling me, and we're talking 35, 36 years ago.
Oh.
But
no,
yeah,
I didn't really realise that.
I wouldn't expect you to remember, but yeah, that was you, Matt. But obviously I've got an interest in you and your involvement with the club, and look, 65 years, we could talk for hours with this. But before you started with the youth, and your involvement with the club, obviously I've got a big interest in like local history stuff as well. So one of the first questions I've asked you to look at or to think about was, what do you remember from being a young Martin Luther Jones living in Garnet, Amman Valley? You know, where were you living? What school did you go to? What you used to do before rugby?
I got that here. Can I go?
Of course you can.
Well, I was born on the 30th of October 1941, and that's next Saturday, week Saturday.
Oh, you're 80?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I was
Almost
born-
80.
Almost, yes. At Carmarthen Hospital called the Priory. As a family, our first home was at Lower Brinketty Road, Garnet.
Islwyn.
3 houses up from Islwyn's house. Islwyn, Jack Ware, my uncle Agda Sam and Auntie May, and we were living next door. Well, as I said, Brinketty Road, Garnet. Neighbours of my father's mother home, my grandmother. After several years at this abode, we moved to Amman Road, Garnet. That's up by the half Prince Albert,
Yeah.
Lama flag. This area was self-sufficient, I'll tell you. 3 pubs, 2 shops, and an excellent fish and chips shop called Nelly's. The pubs were called Lama Flag, Prince Albert, and the Colliers. And further on the road towards GCG was another pub called the Globe. The first school I attended is now a working garage,
By the
a
Raven.
car sales room opposite the day centre at the Raven. The school canteen was about half a mile away, opposite the new co-op food store. Every day, whatever the weather, we as children had to walk to and fro to this location for our daily dinner. Can you imagine this happening today? Next school I attended was Gannon Primary School. This was demolished a few years ago. Gannon School on School Road.
Yeah.
And now new bungalows are being built on this property. After primary school days, the next school I attended was Amford Secondary Modern. This is where I first played rugby. And I attended the school up in Tyrdail.
Okay.
There was a school up there, part of the school. The Welsh part was up in Tyrdail, and the other was down in where the primary school is now. At the end of the secondary school days, before I go further, the teacher up in the Tyrdail was Mr. E.B. Davis, and he was into rugby. And I think he was not a district rep, but he had something to do with the Welsh Rugby Union. That's where I had my first interest. And the interest continued when I went down to the secondary modern school in Amford. I can't remember the name of the first PT teacher, but I remember the second, Danny Dapp, we used to call him.
Okay. Hey, I've heard of Danny Dapp.
Danny Dapp. And I've met him on several occasions since in Amford. And we've spoken, of course.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he passed away maybe 3 years ago. This is where I first played rugby. At the end of the secondary school days, I was accepted as an apprentice by the National Code Board. The first year was spent totally at the then NCB College in Tyrdail. After this, it was part-time education at the same college for a further 8 years, whereby I finished as a qualified electrician. I worked at several collieries in the Amman Valley area, firstly at Steer Pit, that's in Targwaith. When that closed, I was transferred over to Cwngos, which was a drift mine. The other was a drift shaft. No, what do they call those? They went down on your head. There was a lift.
Okay.
The other was a drift. And finally, Cwmgos closed and I was transferred over to Amman. I didn't enjoy Amman at all.
Why not?
It wasn't the same place. It wasn't the same. Cwmgos was a nice, a good atmosphere to work in. I know it's a combine and it was a hard work, but it was a friendly bit. Everybody knew each other. When you were over Amman, there was different people from different mines, and it wasn't such a nice place.
I only found out a couple of years ago that my great-grandfather was killed in the Mardy pit. Yeah, it was in the Mardy he was killed.
Mardy.
When he was 30.
Mardy's up.
GCG, is it?
Mardy.
Where the old seconds Cwmgos field is. By the track.
Yes,
track.
right, yes. I remember that now, yes. Shall I continue?
Yes, please.
I gotta say, Cwmgos was the best place I worked. Until I then, in 1965, I applied for a job. Oh, can I say one thing before? It has always been my intention to finish in the mines. However, much I enjoyed working in Cwmgos, I had the experience here of listening to my father in bed fighting for Beth because he had pneumoconiosis, and I saw him on numerous occasions with oxygen mask on his face. I was sleeping in the next bedroom. I could hear him coughing and gasping for breath, and I thought to myself, George, you are getting out of that mines. You are not going to be like your father when you his age.
How old have you been then?
In the 70s. And hence I haven't been short of breath. I got out not long after my apprenticeship. And that's in 1965. I applied for a job at British Leyland in Snelly, where I worked for the rest of my life. I was there till I was 63. I had early retirement. Yes. And I've enjoyed working down in Snelly because there was, surprisingly, a lot of ex-coal board people working there. And from Tumble, and the various across hands, Garnett, Raymond Phillips used to live up there, and Steve Phillips, his father,
Yeah.
he used to work down the same place. Right. Rugby.
Before you go on to that, one of the things I wanted to check with you, right, is obviously you're not known as, it's your name, it's Martin Luther Jones.
Yeah.
Now, I remember a couple of years ago, I don't know if I've told you this, reading an old Amman Valley Chronicle.
Yeah.
Over, probably 110 years. Seems like 1910, right?
Yeah.
And one of the articles in that newspaper from the commandment side of it was a Martin Luther Jones won a Charlie Chaplin lookalike competition.
I don't think of that.
Now, I mean, there's got to be a connection, isn't there? Martin Luther Jones. So where's that name come from?
My father's brother was in the Battle of the Somme, and he got injured badly. He wasn't killed there and then, but he came back and died at home, and he's buried. I'd be buried up in Bethel. As I have seen it, but last time I went to Old Bethel, but I couldn't find it. Martin Luther Jones.
Really?
Yes. And that's where the name comes from, the family.
I'll find that for you. And on that then, do you remember...
I've had history of that guy, of Nevantry, because he's does a lot about war records. He had it for me.
Yeah, well,
He's upstairs with it somewhere. Do you want me to find it for you sometime?
Yeah, if you don't mind. But if you also remember, a couple of years ago, you mentioned the song, we went on a trip. There was me, Caus, Sooty,
All right.
Stewart and Thomas, Dobbins boys, Ryan Williams and Alan Rees.
Yeah.
And we met Nev before, and he gave us a lot of information about
All right, yeah.
Amman Valley boys out there who were killed, and we spent a couple of days in France, a couple of days in Belgium, and I'm sure you remember this, wasn't that long ago. One of the names that appeared that we were looking for was William Ensign Jones.
That's him.
And when we came back, you told me he was related to you.
Yes.
And I found the grave up in Hinbethel. And I've got, remember...
Sorry, that's the one I was looking for, yes. William Ensign Jones.
I know exactly where that is, because I found it the day we came back from the Somme. And when we were out there, we had oak crosses made. So we put these crosses on the local boys' graves out in the Somme. And I got a photo of the same cross on William Ensign Jones.
That's my brother. Sorry. I got mixed up there now. I'm sure I've seen Martin Luther Jones up there too.
I'll have a look. I thought William Ensign Jones was your grandfather.
Yes. Yes, you're right. My father's mother, I think she married a second time, see?
Okay.
And he comes from Newcastle Emlyn, the west.
Have a look again, see what we got upstairs. We'll find it here.
Yeah, I got it upstairs. Deb's got it for me.
So,
William Ensign Jones. You're quite right. That's the name.
Oh, I know where that grave is. I could take you to that now.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, you were talking about rugby. So the next thing I've got on here is, well, the question is, what are your very earliest memories of the Amman United when you were there as a youth player?
Well, shall I go through this?
Yeah.
Rugby. I played for the Amman Youth at 15 years of age.
Was that underage then?
No. You started work at 15. At 15 years old. Normal practice then. Junior section team did not exist that time. While still playing for the youth, I played for the Amman first 15 in the midweek game at home against Astringais. That was my first game for the Amman. And Irene Williams, I remember Irene, was the youth secretary at the time. And Irene used to live, you know where Owen Land lives now?
Yeah.
There's a lane going down there.
Yeah.
There was a house there, but it's long gone. He used to live there with his parents. I don't know if he's still alive. I couldn't tell you. He could well be. I don't know. Another moment to remember while still playing for the youth side was to be told by the then chairman Bertie Clark Davis that I had been selected to play for the Amman against select team on the opening of the new grandstand. This team had several first-class players, plus 2 international players, namely Ontwyn Brace, scrum half, and Cyril Davis, She-Beds, we used to call him, down in Ammanford. Well, I did play the game, and to cap it all, and to add to the excitement, I scored a try. The stand was opened on April 26, 1960. So
just over 61 years ago, which corresponds with what I was saying to you earlier about wanting to speak to you around that date because it was the 60th anniversary of the stand opening.
Yeah. There were several characters about at this time. The chairman of the club, Bertie Clark, was one such person, as was his brother, Harold Davis, but commonly known as Harold Booty, Rowley Booty's father. Another person who I got fond memories about was Dennis Davis. As a young person, started to play for the seniors. Dennis was an established and experienced player, as was Randall Williams, a larger-than-life second-row forward. Both of these players, I felt, kept an eye open for me during my early years at senior level rugby, and they did. Prior to the stand being opened, our headquarters was a Half Moon pub. The changing room directly behind the Half Moon, but attached to the rear of the moon. After each home game, we showered at these premises. The downside of this initial location of the changing room was if the weather was wet, you started the game in a very uncomfortable situation. You were soaking. The plus situation was, after having a shower, steps leading down from the changing room directly to the pub itself. Happy days. That's what I got down here.
And that's what, 100 yards from where we're sitting now?
Yes.
Just down the road?
Well, prior to that, there was no council houses up there, see? There's only a field. It's also a very nice field. And there's a path goes on the side of it.
And saying one of the things that I remember from the old Amman team photos was, and there's one that particularly sticks in my mind, because Bill Lloris is in it, smoking a fag in the team photo, and it's probably just outside here.
Yeah.
Because you can see the row of houses where you are here on Caidrin.
Yeah, I've seen a photo like that too, but it shows where neighbours' house is.
Okay. Bit further up.
Yeah. Right, so where was I?
Well, on that, do you remember Bill Lloris at all? Was he around?
Bill Lloris. Yeah, I met Bill Lloris. He was working in one of the collieries up, I'm not sure if it was at Targwaith in the steer pit. I don't think he worked in the steer pit. I met him. Bill Lloris.
Because he would have obviously finished playing by the time you...
Oh yes, I finished, I can't remember.
And Dykender and...
Yeah, I met Dykender a couple of times up the road when I knew he played rugby league.
Yeah, but Bill Lloris, I've got quite an interest in because he sounded like a hell of a character. And particularly going up north with the rugby league and everything else.
Yeah. Well, he's related to this full back playing for the Ospreys now, you know that, do you?
Daniel Evans?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he looks like him too.
Yeah. He,
if you look at Bill Lloris, he's in the club. And you look at Daniel, who played for back. He's been there years. He's playing, and he's had a couple of caps.
Yeah, yes. Well, he had one, didn't he?
Yeah.
But he's definitely...
One or two, I'm not sure how many.
Should have had more, but...
Yes. And he's playing, still playing well.
Yes.
Right. Oh, I got a bit of news here. The Amman committee normally met on a Monday night at the half moon to discuss various topics and to select the teams for Saturday's fixtures. During that period in time, there were no coaches as such. The team was picked by the committee, and the team sheet was placed in a cabinet outside the pub to the right of the front door for all to see. There was a cabinet, like an A3 sheet, and there, on the frame of the door, you could see, and to the right, as you face the moon, to the right of the frame. And we were looking there on the team to see if what team we were in, playing the seconds or playing the youth or whatever, or the first.
How many players would you have had around then though?
Oh, we had the first and seconds.
But if you had, obviously that's...
That's 30. There was no sub then.
So you got 30 players, but how many players would have been left disappointed with their names not being on either of those sheets?
Oh, there must have been few, yes.
Different than now then?
Different now because Saturday was a highlight of the day, of the week. You were looking forward to Saturday to play rugby and to enjoy after the game. Now, they can take it or leave it. They can take it on holidays in the rugby period, rugby time. And no, Saturday in the winter was rugby time.
But you know, again, so I remember when I first started going to the club in the 90s, that as you go in through the door now, the notice board there you'd have, on a Thursday night, you'd have the firsts and the Quins team sheets up.
Yeah.
And that was 20 odd years ago.
Yeah.
But
matter of fact, I got a team sheet for the Amman. Not a team sheet, I got the box. It's with me up the shed.
Is it?
If the Amman wanted to put it outside the club, I got it. over the years, there have been many excellent players who have represented the Amman club. Some have progressed further by representing first-class sides. A few have gained the highest honours within the game by representing the country and then becoming British Lions. In the early years of playing for the club, the players that spring to mind were Glyn James. That's Glyn James. He was a scrum half. Very good scrum half. But there was two good scrum halves. Glyn James and John Williams. John Fat, we used to call him. And John Williams, who lives on my side of the train. He's no longer with us. He's still alive, Glyn. Glyn was a foot. He wasn't, what I say, he was a good footballer, but more solid than the other one. The other one was a footballer. He wanted to run with the ball. Glyn would pass, so he could make a break if needed be, but...
Look at that photo there.
Yeah.
Dennis looks twice as wide as Edgar. Was he twice as wide as Edgar? Was he deliberately
he's bigger than Edgar.
puffing himself out to make him look much bigger?
Yeah. I'm not sure when Edgar played at that time, see? I'm trying to work it out. Grip was hooker, Dennis prop. Clive Brooks was second row, and Cochran Daisy, and Tony. So one of those must have been in the back row, and then Irene used to be in the back row. Now he was back, he used to play scrum half also, see? But he went to back row, where I played at the start. So Edgar could have been prop.
Doesn't strike me as a prop.
Backs, number 80 was here, I read. But I think he played Llanelli as a prop. And I think Dennis had a few games at prop. I'm not sure if it was Neath or Llanelli.
He's a big guy.
Now, where was I? Oh yeah, good. In the early years of playing for the club, the players that spring to mind were Glyn James or John Williams, as it. Both these players played scrum half during the same period. Difficult selection choice. At our staff was Hugh Harris. That's you.
Yeah.
A Welsh Youth Cup, an excellent player who played first class for Llanelli and Aberavon. He was very competitive. Because when Aberavon came up to play against Amman, he was keen as hell. And
was he out after, you say?
Yes.
And so Reese is his son?
Yes, Reese is his son.
And also he was out after, wasn't he? He had a cap as well?
He had a cap too, secondary school's cap. Also at about the same time was Malvern Evans. Now Malvern lived opposite the Half Moon. And Malvern's still alive. A fullback who also gained a youth cap. Over the years, there were many exceptional players. These included Colin Davis, Talibach, outside half or centre, who did play for Swansea. Ken Davis, Kengley Moch, centre, who played wing for Llanelli. Trevor Evans, going forward, again, as you all know, Welsh caps and British Lion tour to New Zealand. Jeff Butt, played for Llanelli in the centre. John Thomas, for a small guy, he was an excellent tackler and he was a good player. He played centre for Llanelli. Diamonora. As I've said, Colin and Trevor played for Swansea RFC. I've already said Trevor gained the highest honours possible, being selected by both Wales and the British Lions. And John Bach, Llanelli, a brilliant sevens player. And he played centre with Ray Gravel. And nothing past John he could tackle.
Didn't he play against South Africa?
Yes, he did. He did. It's been an honour to play with the above mentioned players, plus all the other players who represented the Amman club and played to the best of their ability. The biggest characters I encountered during my time as a player was Colin Davis, better known as Tally Bach, John Bach, as John Monora, Ken Davis, Ken Ike, and John Gwynn. If we wanted this to have a sing, when we had a sing song, after every game we had a sing song. We had, when the beer was in, the songs were getting good. Tally couldn't stop singing. John Bach wanted to sing, and Ike knew every song going. Plus we had a guitarist in John Gwynn. It was a good after the match atmosphere. Well, I got into the outstanding games that remain memorable. As a player involved in the National Sevens competition in Aberafon on the 6th of May 1967, in Sweden we had no hope, drawn against 3 first-class sides. But we defeated the 3 sides only to lose the final to Cardiff College of Education by 11 points to 10. What an occasion, what a day. That was a wonderful day. As secretary during season 91-92, we were unbeaten in league fixtures with the last league game away to Rolven, a tough side at the best of times. We beat Rolven to remain unbeaten in league fixtures for that season, 18 wins from 18 games. In the same season, the Amman were drawn at home to Newport. Another exciting fixture. The team played really well to only lose by the narrow margin of 8 points to 6. Now, it's controversial what I'm saying now. A penalty could have been awarded to the Amman when the scrum collapsed in front of the goalpost, with only minutes left. But the referee, Mr. Derek Bevan, did not allow the Amman with a penalty. He remarked the front row slipped. Now they didn't slip because they went down a couple of times. We had a tremendous front row in those days. Graham Bundock, Dara Campbell, and Adrian Phillips.
Outstanding.
With Alan Bartlett. 2 of those were second school caps, plus Alan Bartlett, who I say could be subbed that day, although we did play them on rota in the second row, the front row, because they were such good players. So I don't think those boys collapsed. I'm thinking we had Andrew Bateman in the second row with Roy Morgan, maybe Graham Watkins, Mike Moore, number 8, Zal, flanker, Clive Williams, Duncan Kaylor. We had a good, excellent side. Kevin Morris, Ching.
Yeah.
And Steve Morris. We had a strong side.
Steve Morris would have been too young then, wouldn't
Yeah, maybe Steve.
he? Yeah, Steve.
But Kevin Morris, the others were either sides. Excellent side. If we had an injury, we had people good enough to come in.
But didn't they play Newport twice in the early 90s?
We did play Newport, yeah.
And one of them was frozen off. I vaguely remember that, wasn't it? And it got rearranged.
No, Swansea that was, I think.
Well, that got rained off, didn't it? Because that was in October.
He came,
I remember it wasn't long before Christmas.
he came up and we looked at the pitch Sunday morning, and I think we played Sunday, didn't we?
That was against Swansea.
Swansea.
In
We lost, though. Yeah, that was against Swansea.
Or 98, sorry.
Yeah.
Good day.
Right. Yeah, good day. That's with the penalty in the back, the front row slipped. As secretary, I was immensely proud of the efforts put in by all the players involved. Another proud moment for myself and the Amman club was a success in the West Wales Bowl. In the semi-final, the club defeated Carmarthen Athletic and then Trinsaman in the final at Villeneuve. Another proud, memorable occasion for all connected with the Amman club. Another proud moment, I had the pleasure and the honour to attend and to witness Shane Williams being presented with his first international cap by Sir Tasker Watkins at the Millennium Stadium. Prior to the Welsh team being selected, and the Amman club were invited to nominate 2 representatives to attend the after-match function at the stadium. Myself and JV duly attended the function, but prior to this, we were unaware if Shane had been selected to play for this country. 18 months prior to Shane being selected to play for his country, he rejoined the club from the local soccer club at Amman. His first game for the Amman was a midweek game against Larne RFC. Shane played at scrum half and scored 4 tries. What a start in his comeback game for the club. During his time, the club were coached by former Neath and Wales wing Alan Edwards. Shane continued to play at scrum half, showing all the skills and flair at his disposal until one home match we had a visit from a Neath coach named Lynn Jones. Hence, this was the start of his Neath Ospreys, Wales and Lions playing career. Another occasion which I rate very highly was the Amman team that beat Caerphilly at the Millennium Stadium in 2016, I think it was it?
17.
April
the 16th, 2017.
In an exciting match, the Amman won by... Do you know the score?
Oh, don't ask me what the score was.
The Amman won the game.
They won, that's the main thing.
The day started very exciting for myself. I was asked to present the players with their match jerseys at the clubhouse. I didn't know this, eh? A great honour indeed.
Why do you think they chose you, Matt?
Well, I wasn't a sec. Well, because I've been with the club so long as I was. Great honour indeed. We travelled via the team bus, drove into the stadium, climbed the steps and then down into the dressing room. Oh, that was very international. The game was very exciting indeed. Caerphilly played their part, but the Amman deserved to win. They were worthy winners at the end. I would class this memorable occasion as a pivotal moment in my association with the Amman, whether as a player, official of the club or a spectator. A truly wonderful day. It was
incredible. And again, for the boys involved in that, to hear you saying that, must have been a hell of a lot, thinking what you've been through over the last 65 years.
Oh.
But that was...
Oh, that was a wonderful day. That was a wonderful day.
Hopefully not, but once in a lifetime probably.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. One never knows. My future hope is that we continue into the future as we have done for the previous 100 years or so. I've said on many occasions all players are very important to the future stability of the Amman, but none more so than the thriving junior section. The junior players are the future of every club. I am pleased with the present junior teams, plus the coaches and officials looking after them. They are the important section of the Amman club and indeed from all clubs.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot here now, right? I looked at the Amman book today and the little biography on you, and it's quoted on the bottom, right? And it's on about, bear in mind now, this is what, 18 years ago? 2003?
Yeah.
Almost. And what it says, and it's quoted you were saying, since professionalism, the game has deteriorated from the grassroots to the Welsh team, yet the first-class clubs in the Welsh Rugby Union are at loggerheads in the way forward. Agreement must be reached so that the national side becomes his first priority.
No.
So that was 2003.
Yeah.
Since then, Wales have won, I don't know how many Grand Slams, got to semi-finals of World Cup, so that the national team has probably overachieved in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But the bit that agreement must be reached so the national side becomes his first priority, and I think it has. But what we're seeing now with the grassroots stuff, and teams folding, you know, the Amman are always having a second team, there's no youth team, and that's standard across most of the South Wales bit.
Yeah.
Do you think that's gone too far now? We need to go back into the grassroots again? Being as we've got Amman United chief executive.
Where do these players come from who play for Wales? They don't come from Newport, the Dragons, they don't come from Scarlets, they don't come from the Ospreys, or the Blues, Cardiff Blues. They come from village clubs. If these village clubs don't survive, where are the players going to come to? You won't have sides. And I know it's a big statement to make. If Wales don't look after their village clubs, so that players can start playing rugby, where are they going to get their players to play for the senior sides?
I agree with you.
For the Dragons. And yes, if they got to progress to the academies in various, so be it. But they got to start in the village clubs, first of all. That's where Shane Williams started. That's where Trevor Evans started. That's where Gareth Edwards started. But there wasn't juniors to be had then, but yes. And there was one statement I got to make again. As a player and a committee member, I have enjoyed every moment at the club. Of course, there have been ups and downs, but you pull together to overcome the not so good days. But these are infrequent. I've enjoyed every moment, and I hope to enjoy a few more moments yet again.
I'm sure you will. And just on that note, I know you've had a few downs yourself with health for the last few years. How are you feeling at the moment?
I am feeling good.
You're looking good?
I'm feeling good. When I had that pull, I didn't expect it because I was looking for Holly. It was about Christmas, it was. I was looking for Holly. I was climbing up to the... Well, if you don't know, if you go over the tip and you come down towards the Glenavon, there's a path going up through the woods and it comes out on Greenwich Road. Well, I went up that and I walked over, climbed a couple of edges because I couldn't find the path through the house. There's a path going through the house there, which should be open. I couldn't find it. And I climbed over the top and I walked up the hill and walked back down. I couldn't find Holly. But the following week when I went down to the hairdresser in Glenamon, that's when I had the pain. And I went to the hospital and...
How long ago was that? 2 years?
It's 2 years. This Christmas. I spent Christmas in hospital. But I'm good now. Everything good?
Good. I think I'm done with my questions for you, Matt, and you've answered them.
Are you happy with that?
You can see you've done your prep for it. There's one more thing I wanted to ask you. Again, since I've been growing up, and everybody my age and probably a bit older and younger who's grown up with the club knows you as Mr. Amman, really. But there's one line, again, going back to the book, that is probably one of my favourite lines in the whole book, actually. And it says, and it's on the first page, I think, "To all men who have loved this club, and all the women who have let them." Now,
Aye.
I don't know who came up with that, but if people think of Martin Luther and the Amman, they'll also think of Kath as well.
Mm.
Because in my lifetime, she's played massive part in the club as you have. So
Yeah.
how, with all of the hours and the days and all what you've put in to the Amman United, how the hell has Kath put up with that for the last 60 odd years?
Well, she likes rugby herself. But I suppose being strong-willed, if she told me not to do it, I'd have gone and done it. As simple as that. I know you're going to be fair, and I hope I was fair. But as I told you, Saturday was a day for rugby. I worked regular, even worked weekends on occasions, but Saturday was a day for rugby. But she's made up for it in the last 20 years. We've got a caravan down in Newquay, so she's gained the previous 20 years when I went to watch rugby and played rugby. But now I'm missing the start of every season now, am I? So she's gaining that back. No, she's good.
She is good.
Yeah,
she's so you're an Amman legend, but she's one herself, so fair play to her.
Well, I met her in the Moon when she was serving beer in the Moon as a bar rep.
Really?
Yes, that's where I met Scat in the Moon. That's where the headquarters of the Amman was.
So just one other thing before I turn this off. I think you mentioned at the beginning that you were born on when? 30th of October?
Yes, that's
1941.
Yeah.
So in
next Saturday. Week Saturday.
the day of the New Zealand Wales game, when you're going up to that.
Yes.
So obviously we all know that you're coming up to 80.
Well, it'll be 80. Aye.
80 years old. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm glad to reach 80. My father died at 72. And my mother.
But just to finish this off, like I said, we've all known you're coming up to your 80th for some time. So I want to show you a little video that we've put together for you. Millions, hundreds of people would have wanted to pass a message on to you because of what you've done for the Amman. But we've had to narrow it down. So I've spoken to some captains, some characters, and I suppose just some guests who wanted to pass on some wishes to you.
There we go.
So I will play that to you next.
Alright.